Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 21. The podcast
Woo!
is now of legal age. So,
Yeah.
Andrew Eisen here, along with E. Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Finally getting some semblance of control back in my life. I finished recording uh, 30 Days of Comics. I keep wanting
Yeah.
to say 30 Days of Netflix. That title just kind of rolls off the tongue really easily. But I finished recording 30 Days of Comics. Today is day 8.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and I
haven't watched
have,
that one yet, but
yeah, I have, what is today? I don't even
today
remember.
was some
Was it Judge Dredd?
that was yesterday.
Nightmare World.
Yeah.
Horror anthology. I love horror anthologies. Um, but I think I have episodes rendered out to day 11. So I still have 19 episodes to actually edit and render. So mm, that's basically, I try to get like a week's worth of them done during the weekend and then just upload them after midnight each day.
Yeah.
But anyone who's watching my 30 Days of Comics series, we're on day 8. In a couple of days, I forget which day it is, but in a couple of days, I read something really, really bad. Something I really don't, something I end up really not liking. Something that is, if I had to, man,
hmm
there are a couple things I read during this series that are just flat out bad. And I was trying to think which one would I consider the worst. This one that's coming up in the next few days is a contender. I'm not sure if it's the worst.
Yeah.
Uh, I actually, it's probably not the worst, just based on story and character and stuff. But one thing that almost qualifies it for the worst is how damn long it was. Um, it was just the biggest problem is it was boring. It was really, really long.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
Jordan is here. Hello, Jordan, and asks, "What's your pick, Jack or the Captain?" I don't know what that means.
Nothing to
What are you
say at the
referencing,
moment, but
Jordan?
I'm here. What's your pick, Jack or the Captain? Yeah,
Is is that a booze thing? Because I am alcohol. I don't know anything about drinking except that Jack Daniels is a drink. I think Captain Morgan is a drink. I- Is that what you're asking? I don't know.
I have no idea.
But yeah, so now that I don't spend time reading and recording 30 Days of Netflix. See, I'm doing it again. 30 Days of Comics. Actually, I have a little bit more time. Jordan says Battle Pope seems to be the stupidest at the moment. Yeah, but at least it was fun. It was also
But
only
there,
there's also only one issue. I only read like 25 pages. That's all that was available, so it was really short. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be stupid, so I cut it some slack. But still doing the charity streams each Saturday, which do take a little bit of prep because I'm the kind of person who insists on playing the game a little bit beforehand, just so I'm not completely like, how do I play the game? What button does what? Um, things. Jordan says yes, both of those since the podcast is 21. Okay, so drinking
no,
age. Jack Daniels is what, whiskey, and Captain Morgan is rum? Do I have that right?
I have no idea.
Let's
I can't
pretend that
tell you.
I'm right. I have actually I don't know about whiskey, but I have had uh, pastries cooked with rum, like rum cake, I think, or rum cookies or something, and that was good. Of course, baking it burns off all the alcohols. So I guess if I had to pick one, I'd pick rum just because it's something that I have at least kind of some familiarity and experience with. So there we
Yeah.
go. Captain Morgan
I don't
Pose.
know.
Ah.
I went. My only interaction with anything alcohol flavored or anything like that is I went on a work trip for to a tech conference that my last job put on, and and it was in Kentucky, and in the hotel there was these chocolates, and the chocolates that they complimentary chocolates, and
Rumbles.
I'm like, okay, some chocolates, fun. And I open one up, I take a bite, and I about it was
Spat it
just
across the room.
disgusting. I quickly spit that thing out. They were bourbon balls, and they were just disgusting. I'm like, seriously, people like this stuff? And I told some of my friends the next day about that, and they were like, really? Those things are delicious. I'm like,
I had a chocolate covered cherry that had something, either bourbon or rum or something in it, and it was just, I'm like, well, I like the chocolate and the cherry, but that bite of whatever alcohol is that's in it, I'm like, I could do without that. I might put up with it for the chocolate, but it not really to my taste.
yeah.
Although I was at a, gosh, I think an Olive Garden or something with a friend of mine, and they do that. Would you like to try some wine? And my friend's like, yes, free wine. And so they leave us some wine, and she says, you should try some. And I said, nah, don't want to. She's like, oh, come on, just a little. So, no. And she's like, just a sip. I'm like, no. She's like, come on, Andrew, just put your tongue in it. I said, that's definitely going on Twitter as if that's what she said. And it did. So.
Nice.
Yep. Watch what you say around me, ladies, because I will do a that's what she said, because I am totally that immature.
A drunk Pac-Man. Nice.
Jordan had this thing called 8-Bit Ale a few weeks ago. The mascot was a drunk Pac-Man. Huh. Does a drunk Pac-Man just kind of go into a corner and just kind of butt up against the wall over and over instead of...
Yeah, nice.
Kind of weaves along as it tries to, can't follow the dots in a straight line, just kind of wanders around.
See, now I want to make a drunk Pac-Man game.
Yeah, where the corners are a little wider.
Yeah, where they're wider, and you press the button to go left, and he kind of swerves around, and sometimes he goes right instead, and
yeah, you'd have to have like some random variable that affects his trajectory a little bit, so that he's kind of constantly like a broken shopping cart wheel, just kind of veering off course. Is just really difficult to steer down a. Now the question would be: should the ghosts be drunk too, or should it be like Pac-Man gets drunker the more pellets he eats? Like, what exactly is
there
that?
We go. There we go. The higher your score, the more he veers off course.
Jordan Thompson says it tasted like gasoline. Not that I know what that tastes like. I hear you. I've often described food or drink in terms of something that I've never consumed myself. Well, this tastes like excrement. Ever eat? No. Not even once. I remember describing something tasting like wall plaster. I don't remember what it was, but I ate it. I'm like, this is exactly what I imagine a bucket of wall plaster tastes like. So, oh, I remember what it was. It was soy protein. Because I eat protein because protein. Normally I do whey, but I was out and I just needed a little bit while I waited for my 5-pound thing of protein to show up. So I went to Walmart or Target or something and just bought this 10-serving thing of soy protein. Oh my God, it was horrible.
You're not supposed to eat it straight out of the tub. You're supposed to add it to shakes or something.
Yes. Oh, it was terrible. Jordan asked if we've seen drunk modes in video games. Sure. Grand Theft Auto has 4 at the very least. I'm sure that 5 does too. Has a mode where Nico, I think his name is, will stumble around and can't control his car.
Yeah.
So yeah. They had to have a drunk mode in Mario Kart.
That would be very interesting. That would be like the way I play Mario Kart, because I can't play those games, at least not the racing part. I can't do that to save my life. But
I think they should. You know how some PC games remove the cap off of frame rates?
hmm
I think Mario Kart should remove the cap off the CC thing. How they have 50 cc and then 100 cc, and then they came out with a patch that was 200 cc. I think you should be able to just keep cranking that sucker up until the game doesn't run right no more.
Nice.
Just a disclaimer that I've actually seen people hack the game and turn it up to like 1,000 cc, and you hit a ramp and you just fly off the edge of the world.
Nice.
You never land. It's just, yeah, the game's broken, but who cares? It's hilarious. And you should be able to turn it all the way down. Like it's like, what are we doing? Well, we're doing high Mario Kart. Mario and his buddies have been smoking weed, so to simulate that, we're going 10 cc. Puttering around really slowly.
Nice.
Each lap takes 15 minutes. Lakitu has to carry you across every single gap because you don't have enough speed to jump all the way across.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
So, have I played anything this week other than the stuff I've been doing for charity stream? I don't think so. Oh, update on, I've been playing Pokemon Picross, which is a free-to-play game that Nintendo released, golly, like last March or something like that. And it's one of those free-to-play games that you can actually beat the game without spending a dime. It's just going to take you a while. Well, I'm close. I'm getting really close.
Nice.
It's been like 7 or 8 months or something like that, but I've been diligently playing it every single day because you can earn up to, I think, 15 Picarats, which is the currency in the game, by playing a challenge set of 5 mini Picross puzzles. I just do that every day, and I rack up the points, and every time I get enough, I opened up the next level, and then kept going and kept going. I have all the levels opened up. I have all the alt world opened up. I have all of I have the magic pencil or whatever it's called that allows you to mega evolve Pokemon. The only thing I have left, I've opened up all the slots so I can now have a team of 5 Pokemon. The only thing I have left to buy is 2 upgrades for the heart meter or whatever you want to call it. The thing that every time you fill in a square, it decreases, but it increases by 1 every real world minute. So after a while, you have to stop playing the game for a couple hours for your meter to recharge. I need to upgrade the maximum of that meter 2 more times. So I think in a few more weeks, I will have completely beaten Pokemon Picross without spending a penny. You hear that, Nintendo? I win. I beat you at your own game.
Nice.
So, and that is incredibly shallow and petty and childish, but damn it, it makes me feel good. So, what about you? Been playing anything this week?
Not really. I've been playing. Well, let's see. I kind of stopped playing Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, the Final Fantasy game on my mobile phone. I still pick it up and play it, but it's just I've kind of hit a wall where I got to this boss that kills me in 2 turns, and it's like, okay, and so I just don't have the patience right now to grind my way to be able to beat this boss. And this is a story boss. So it's like I can't progress in the game until I beat this boss. And I'm just not in the mood to grind right now in order to level up my characters so that I can beat this thing. Because it uses an earthquake attack that deals damage to all of my characters, and it does between 600 and 800 damage, and most of my characters are under 2000 HP. And so 2 turns of that, and my characters are dead. I don't have any magic spells, any cure spells that are strong enough to counter attack it or counter that attack. So, and I've tried using some spells and items that boost my stone defense or earth defense. That didn't help. And so I'm just like, okay, I don't want to grind for 6 to 10 hours to beat this thing. So yeah, so I'm not too happy with that game right now. It was I'm kind of at a similar position where I was when I was playing that Kingdom Hearts game, Kingdom Hearts Key on mobile. I was doing fine for a while, and then I hit this part where the levels just started kicking my butt. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go. I don't want. It's like, and that one, in order to get stronger, you had to power up your medals, and which improved your attack power and stuff. But it's like, and doing that was just, it wasn't fun at all. There was no fun at all in trying to power this stuff up. So I just gave up on that one. So yeah, I think I need to start playing more games on my PSP again, because I still have like 8 games on there that I haven't beaten yet. So, and then the only other game I've played this week is Pokemon Go. I'm still chugging along at that. I've got to the point where I'm almost to 100 Pokemon in my Pokédex. So I still have about 50. Well, I would say more like 40 to go, because and there's still 9 of them are still unavailable in the game. It's like no legendaries, and then they
territory or
well, it's just they haven't added Mew, Mewtwo, the 3 legendary birds, Ditto. Those 6 are not available here, and then are not available anywhere. And then Mr. Mime, Farfetch'd, and Kangaskhan are not available in the U.S. And so I've got about 40 or so. I've got a couple of Pokemon that are ready to evolve and then add that evolution to my Pokédex, but I'm waiting until I've got an experience boost item before I do that. But yeah, I still have quite a few. So I still have about 40 or so Pokemon that I haven't even come across yet. And it's kind of getting annoying because I never see them anywhere. Except every once in a while I'll see one of them, but it's like I'm either on my way somewhere and don't have time to pull over and hunt for it, or it's just I can't ever find it when I actually do have time to stop and hunt for it. So yeah, it's really annoying. And then the eggs that I get, I never get anything new out of them anymore. And that's really annoying. So but I think I have most of what hatches out of eggs anyways, though, except for a couple of them. But
so did Nintendo fix that weird thing you were talking about in Random Tower a couple weeks ago, where you have to walk 1,000,000 miles to do stuff with your Pokemon buddies?
That's set. I figured out what it is that the distance you have to travel to get a candy as your buddy is half of the distance you have to travel to hatch that Pokemon out of an egg. So if it hatches out of a 2K egg, it's 1K to get a candy. If it's a 5K egg, it's 3, because they don't do 2 decimal points in this. And then a 10K egg Pokemon requires 5K to get a candy. It's really annoying because I've got several 10K egg Pokemon in my list that I've gotten them once, and I have never seen another one again, and it's just like, yeah, I'm not ever putting one of these as my buddy, because there's just no way I would ever be able to walk the 625 miles to get or kilometers to evolve this thing all the way. So. Yeah, but they are planning on, I read this week, that they're planning on introducing a new feature where in the game you get medals. So if the more of a certain type of Pokemon you catch, you earn medals for it. And there's bronze, silver, and gold medals for each Pokemon type. And they're going to be introducing a feature that, depending on your medal level, when you attempt to catch a Pokemon of that type, it's easier the higher medal rank you are at for that type of Pokemon. So that will be nice. So hopefully that means that absolutely no Pidgeys and Rattatas run away from me anymore, because those things they run away at a really annoying rate. But so we'll see how that goes.
So you have any interest in all in picking up the Go Plus thing, the little plastic thing you can wear on your wrist with the light on it? You know?
No. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and I have no interest in that.
Isn't that thing like $35 or something absurd?
I don't know. I haven't been following that news at all, but it's more money than I'm willing to spend. It's like I'm not even willing to spend $5 to buy Pokemon or Pokecoins. So,
well, pardon me. So we've got a Mario game, Mario Run, or whatever it's called. Looking forward to that. I imagine.
Yeah,
what that costs, right?
I think that costs. So I don't think I'll get it. So I might eventually, but I think that's an Apple exclusive right now, an iTunes exclusive.
Yeah, I think it's a timed exclusive.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait to see what they do when they release it for Android, if they do, and if by that time they realize that that a paid app isn't the way to go, they may release it for free and do some kind of microtransaction thing in it. But
well, it sounds like it's like there will be a free demo, like play the first world for free, and then to unlock the rest of it, it costs X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Nintendo wasn't explicit on that point, but that's what it sounded like from their various press materials. Now, they also have mobile games which have been pushed back to next year. One based on Animal Crossing, and one on Fire Emblem. Now, they haven't shown anything from these games, but are those franchises you're interested in?
I'm certainly interested in trying the Fire Emblem one. I've never played Animal Crossing. I'm trying to think if I've ever played anything remotely similar, but other than The Sims. but yeah, definitely interested in picking up Fire Emblem. I played some Fire Emblem. I've never owned the game, but I've played them at friends' houses and stuff when they've had them out, and I'm like, oh, let's give that a try, and it's fun. I also like the Advance Wars series too, and so. But yeah, I do like those games. It's other games like that Shining Force on the Sega Genesis.
Sure.
That I had a lot of fun playing that. So, yeah. So definitely a game I would love to try. It'd be interesting to see if they stick to the exact same genre and play style as on the DS and 3DS, or if they go with something a little more slimmed down for a mobile market. But,
yeah, I'm not really a fan of either franchise. Particularly Animal Crossing bores the hell out of me. I gave it a try back in the GameCube days. I rented it from a Blockbuster Video, which had a 5-day or week-long rental. And after a week with the game, I had pretty much everything in the game. Although I guess I was kind of playing it wrong. It's a game you're supposed to play for maybe 10 or 15 minutes a day. It's not something you sit down and play until you
Hmm.
have all the fish and bugs and stuff. But I'd upgraded my house. I had all the fish and bugs and stuff that were available at that time of year,
Yeah.
and I adjusted the clock to skip ahead in time just to check out different events to see what they did. But and they were kind of lame. I remember the thing that really turned me off the game is I skipped ahead to the sports day and found out that you couldn't do anything. You couldn't participate in any of the sports. They had chase people around the tree. They had throw the balls in the little cup thing on the pole. They had tug of war, but it was just set dressing. You could look at them, but you couldn't interact with them. I'm like, well, this is lame. So, not a game for me, but my mother and my sister love that game. They are
Yeah.
hardcore about that game. They'll sit there with
Yeah.
a pad and pencil and start writing, making notes. Which animal friend has what item so that they can go get them and trade the thing. They are they are hardcore about the
That's
game.
crazy.
Great. But yeah, not a game for me. And I was going to ask any other Nintendo IPs that you think you probably play more mobile games than I do because I play zero.
Probably, yeah.
Any Nintendo IP that strikes you as a good fit for mobile?
Pikmin would probably work.
Hmm. It's come to handheld, and it looks like it
Yeah,
will make the transition pretty well.
yeah. I'm trying to think. Let's see what else. Any platformers, probably not so much. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
say Metroid or Zelda. I would not play. I've tried playing some Zelda style games on mobile, but they
Mhm.
all, it's like every single one of them that I've played try to use the virtual joystick controls, and they're just always terrible. I can never play them for too long because my fingers slip off the buttons all the time, and because there's just no tactile feedback on them. Trying to think what other franchises would fit. I guess you could probably make some kind of game using those IP, but they wouldn't be the same IP,
Yeah.
or they wouldn't be the same game. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to think what other franchises they have. An actual Pokemon game would be awesome. Pokemon Go is fun for what it is, but it's not an actual Pokemon game as far as the vast majority of people are concerned, because there's no trading. Battles are confined to gyms, and they're not. Yeah, they're not as interesting as the actual Pokemon game battles. So, um, yeah, I just can't think of anything specific that I would love to see on mobile.
Hmm.
So,
That's all right. I would like, not necessarily on mobile, but I would like to see Nintendo bring Advanced Wars back. That good series of games that we haven't seen an entry in for a while. So,
yeah,
Jordan says it's sad, though I'm 21. When I explain what Blockbuster, the rental store, is, people think I have to be 40. Yeah, Blockbuster's been gone for a while. Although
yeah.
apparently there's still like a couple individual franchises still open. But um,
I don't know. Yeah, there's still movie rental places out there.
mhm,
There are just not as many of them as they used to be. Family Video is one that's still fairly popular here in Oklahoma, and I think that's a local company. Uh, I just know there's one here a couple miles from my house, but yeah, Redbox is just way too convenient to be bothered going there and getting a membership.
yeah, yeah.
So
So Jordan actually has an interesting question here. What is the longest amount of time we've spent doing something that we really didn't want to do? It would probably be like some report for school at some point, but off the top of my head, at least the most interesting thing I can think of is in Monster Hunter Tri, which is what they called Monster Hunter 3 for the Wii. Uh, I decided to do Sword and Shield. And if you don't know how the game works, basically there are giant monsters, and you beat them about the brain pan with a sword until they fall over, and then you carve bits off of them, and you use their bits to craft even better armor and gear, armor and swords.
They're
So,
bits.
yes, they're bits, like their horns and their spiky
Yeah.
bits, and their tails and gizzards and things. Um, I'm wearing a raptor butt as a hat. Um, so there's one sword called the Divine Hate or Divine Wrath or something like that. But unlike most swords, the way you get it is you have to mine it out of a rock. Now, some of the swords and weapons and things are really hard to get because you beat a dinosaur over the head and it doesn't drop the right bit. Like you need that damn Rathalos plate. So you beat a Rathalos and you don't get a Rathalos plate because the drop percentage is like 3% or something absurd. And you need 3 Rathalos plates. So it can take a long time. But fighting the Rathalos is fun, even though you have to do it a bunch of times to end up with enough materials to craft the stuff you want. But when the stuff you want comes from a rock, all you're doing is hitting the rock with a pickaxe. It's not very fun. It's repetitious and boring. You just clank, clank. You know? So with the for this particular one, you need to get a rust shard, which is something you mine out of a rock. So it is only available in one level. The only level that does not allow you to just explore the level, you actually have to be on a mission of some sort. All the rest of the levels just let you go and hang out and have fun. This one you have to be on a mission, so there's going to be some monster wandering around getting in your way. Luckily, you can do one of the earlier quests, which is kill 7 little minion guys, and you just kill about 5 of them and then just leave the rest of them alone. It's also a level that you have to go in and be prepared for because it's a volcano, so you have to drink cold drinks so you don't die of heat exhaustion. So not only are they confined to this one level, every time you hit a mining node, you get a certain number of whacks before the node goes away and regenerates after 4 or 5 minutes, right? So the type of mining node that the Rush Shard is in is the most rare mining node, of course. You get 3 or 4 whacks at this thing. The odds that you're going to get a Rust Shard are like 1 in 10, maybe. So the only level, the most rare mining node, very rare drop from that very rare mining node. And even if you do get a Rust Shard, there's no guarantee that you're going to get the type of weapon you want. I was going for sword and shield, but the Rust Shard could end up being a lance or a greatsword or a hammer. Not only that, so not only do you have to get the right weapon, but it could either be the divine, the rusted sword is what you're going for, or a like iron knife, and it's usually the iron knife. One specific area, most uncommon node, most uncommon drop from that node. The drop could be one of 6 different weapon types. If it's the type you want, it's maybe a 1 in 10 chance of actually being the rusted sword. So I calculated how long. To make a long story short, I spent over 70 hours hitting a rock with a stick, getting the right damn item so that I could make the sword I wanted. 70 hours.
Wow.
I got my sword, but holy biscuits, that was a long time. Now, it's really repetitious, so I was basically just thumping as watching TV or reading the internet, just kind of hammering on the button. So it wasn't like I really had to focus and pay attention for 70 hours, but I mined, I think, 237 rust shards. It's something, some number like that. I ended up finding 237 rust shards before I finally got my rusted sword. So, yeah, that was, that's probably, I really did not want to hit a rock with a stick. but I wanted that sword. I wanted to complete my collection. So that's my story. How about you, Zachary? Anything come to mind?
I was gonna say my job, but yeah.
Yeah, well, the
Isn't
paycheck.
that everybody? Yeah, paychecks are nice and kind of necessary. Um, I was trying to think, video game wise. I don't think I've ever spent 70 hours doing something in a video game. It's like, yeah, it would
It's
probably
not like
take.
I was doing a guide or anything. It's not like I had to do that. I just wanted that sword.
But it's like with the Final Fantasy game I'm playing, it would probably take me, 4 maybe 5 hours of grinding to get to max up my levels. But it's just, I just don't want to do it. I think probably one of the most annoying things is that when a video game I'm playing a platformer or something, and then and then the next level is some kind of racing level. This happened in Jack and Daxter. I was playing it, and then I got to this level that was just a racing level, and I'm like, why in the world am I racing in this? This is a platformer. Let me platform. And I just kept sucking at this level, and it probably took me a good 4 or 5 hours to actually beat this thing. And I actually gave up like at one point and said, screw this, I'm not playing this. And and didn't play the game for a couple of weeks. And then I finally went back and played it for a couple more hours and finally got through that level. And I'm of course, I still haven't beaten Jack and Daxter. I feel bad, but I'm hoping that when I do pick it back up again, there's not any more of those levels. Um, and I'm having a similar problem in Beyond Good and Evil, where the level I'm currently in, I have to find this right hidden ramp off this racetrack, and
Mm.
I'm just like I keep missing it because and you know because I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, and so, but I'm sure I'll check out a video or two online at some point and and get those things or get out of that so I can continue on the game. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of racing games, and being forced to play a racing game when I'm playing a platformer just bugs the crap out of me. So,
Other than that, though, how are you liking Beyond Good and Evil?
oh, I love Beyond Good and Evil.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's a
Great game.
great game. Yeah, and I'm actually working my hardest to get to take pictures of all of the animals in the
Yeah.
game. I want to do that because I think that's a cool thing to do in the game.
I
Uh,
agree.
yeah, so
One of my favorite small touches in that game is the as you progress through the game, the public starts turning against the powers that be. And at the start of the game, there's like one dude with a sign going, "No, the bad guys are bad guys." But as you go through the game, you see more and more protesters in the street going, "Ah,
yeah.
bad guys are bad guys. Picket, picket." It just a lot of really nice touches in that game. Um,
Yeah.
but you actually reminded me. It's a story I've told on this podcast, or well, probably not this one, but definitely Super Podcast Action Committee. Was Baten Kaitos and
Hmm.
that damn Trail of Souls bit right before the end of the first disc that I spent, I think, 11 years trying to beat. Now, granted, I took 5 year breaks, but yeah, I spent because it's one of those things that playing it perfectly is damn near impossible. There's 10 waves of enemies, and you have to play it perfectly, and the controls aren't that great. And if you miss a thing in each wave, some of those things are permanently missable.
Yeah.
So, and I'm the kind of guy who has to collect every darn thing.
Hmm.
So I could not. I was never satisfied getting through it and missing something. I'd always miss something that was permanently missable. So, but I did finally, I think earlier this year, finally get through that. And then I was just like, I am so tired of Baten Kaitos right now. I just don't want to play it. Uh, so I still haven't beat that game, but it
Yeah.
is a great game. I do really like it. But a couple design decisions that are like, oh, guys, what were you thinking? Never have permanently missable stuff.
No.
I mean, if it's a short game, like a 5 hour game, sure, fine. But if it's a 60-hour RPG, do not have permanently missable stuff. No one is good. Well, not no one, but very few people have the patience to play through it again.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's like Final Fantasy IX. Uh, it has some items that I guess you would consider permanently missable, but it's like one specific item is the best sword for the knight. I forget his name now, um, but in order to get that sword, you have to get to that the location for it, which is on the third disc of the game, in under 12 hours.
hmm.
And so it's basically a speedrunner's bonus for this game, and I'm like, I'm not a speedrunner. I am not going to play this game that many times so that I know exactly what I have to do in order to get there in under 12 hours. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, so let's hit up a topic. This week you
all
wrote
right.
about some EA shenanigans, and we haven't spoken of Electronic Arts recently. So, what's this story all about?
Well, this story is kind of an interesting an interesting uh, development, where in FIFA 17, EA made this fake social media network. It's basically Twitter, and so to give I don't know what it's just basically to expand the world for the FIFA game, make it feel like it's the real world, and and so they added this social media thing so that I guess team members and fans and whatever can chat away or whatever, and it's just, I don't know, it's probably just a waste of time to mess around with it, if you're but I'm sure somebody likes that kind of stuff. But in this social media thing, they made this one fake account. They gave the person a real world name of, or a real name of Calvin Wong, and his handle is Cal Wong. And there's some tweets from the in the game where this guy's just kind of a punk, not like harassing or anything. It's just kind of a stupid character. It's like one of the things he says, I can't believe Mr. Alex Hunter was too busy to give me his autograph after I spent forever waiting for him. Uh, and it's just basically stupid fan junk. And it's like, another one is like, I wonder if Mr. Alex Hunter has shoddy knees like his dad. Hope not. He looks full of potential when he came on in the second half. Yeah.
So
Just,
the Calvin Wong in the game is a Twitter troll.
yeah, he's just kind of a stupid Twitter troll fan guy, and
Okay.
and but you know, but things as they are, this happens to be uh, the name Calvin Wong and the Twitter handle Cal Wong actually belong to a real life person in real life, and he one of his friends pointed this out to him, that EA was using his name and Twitter handle in this game, and he wasn't too happy. He said, he says, please don't use real Twitter accounts in your dumb game. Okay, thanks. And he calls them a-holes and stuff, and it's kind of funny, but he asked for an apology. He like emailed them, and to ask for apology, and to get his Twitter handle and name removed, and eventually they did. They did respond and said, "Oh, we'll patch this out." But he ended up getting a lot of harassment on Twitter too from FIFA fans, and these guys are just jerks, and it's kind of sad, really. But I don't. I'm trying to see if there's
Let me
any
guess.
example tweets about this, but
What was some of it? written under the assumption that he's Asian because of an Asian sounding name.
Yeah, there were
Of
some
course.
racist comments. Some people called him things like irrelevant prick. Somebody said, "I hope they leave it in and tell everybody to tweet you." And another person says, the game is bigger than you. Behave." And it's like seriously, people.
This footy video game is bigger than you. Sir, you are insignificant next to the majesty of a football game.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, and he describes the situation as this. He says, "It's as if I had a cute private house in my corner of the net and somebody thousands of miles away gave a bunch of soccer hooligans my address."
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but that's I'm sure the same thing has happened to anyone who's ever been unfortunate to have 8675309 as a number. So,
Yeah. I'm sure it has, yeah.
but as you pointed out in the in the article on Random Tower, that's why there's a set of numbers that don't belong to anyone that fiction writers can use if they need to use a telephone number.
Yeah.
And maybe Twitter should come up with a bunch of. Well, actually, I don't think Twitter even really needs to. Just do a quick search and make sure whatever names you're going to put in your video game or movie or whatever don't exist. Like,
or just use ones from
literally 15 seconds it would take to, let's say, at Cal Long. Does that exist? Oh, that's actually a dude. Let's not use that.
Yeah. Another good metric would be to look at all the people you've blocked and just use theirs.
There you go.
I don't like these people, so let's use them. But yeah, and you know, some good metrics too. It's like
we sourced all the fake Twitter handles in our game from the good game auto blocker list.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, just checking to make sure that the Twitter handle you want to use is not non-existent would be a very simple thing to use. And of course, depending on how many fake social media accounts you're wanting to create, it can go from anywhere from easy to, why am I doing this again? So if it's just a handful of them, yeah, just run them through a check. You should do twitter.com/what I'm wanting to type or put in the game. But otherwise, if you're going to do a whole bunch, maybe do something, procedurally generate a bunch of accounts. Just do some kind of metric and service that doesn't resemble any popular real world services.
Yeah, because this fake Twitter thing, I don't know what it's called, but the handles are literally at something.
Yeah, it's the exact same format that Twitter uses, and it looks like Twitter. This picture that I have, it just says social, and then it has like 3 tweets.
It's just different enough to not get sued.
Yeah. So, but yeah, but other things are probably a little more difficult, like emails. If doing fake email accounts are probably not. That's probably something that's not as easy.
Well, I don't know. You can just I guess you could make up a fake domain.
Well, that's true. Yeah. And do a quick domain name search to see if that domain actually exists. And then once you've got a domain that doesn't exist, then yeah, you could just throw any handle in front of that,
or just pick a email address out of your spam folder. You know, the ones that are constantly trying to hook you up with Russian brides and stuff. Yep.
A lot of those wouldn't work.
Spam the spammers.
Yeah. But they got to look like real names, Swim Fan 492 or whatever. Right? That's I don't know what that that swim fan movie. That was terrible. That's just what came to
Swim
mind.
fan?
Yeah, it's some uh, psycho stalker movie. Where it's
Oh yeah, that's not what it's called though. It's got a different.
is it not Swim
I
Fan?
don't
I
think
thought it
it's
was
Swim
Swim
Fan. I think it's got a different title, but I vaguely remember this movie now. There's another one about a baseball creepy super fan, and I don't remember which one that is either. Okay, so let's move past this to I guess it's late, so our last topic, and that is Luke Cage, who for some reason I keep calling Nick Cage, and I don't know why. I don't know if
Nicolas
I'm confused
Cage.
with.
He's awesome.
Oh, the actor, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Because I was trying to think, I'm like, am I confusing him with like Nick Fury? How am I doing that? But Jordan says my number is 555-555-5555. Am I being too obvious? Well, the combination of my luggage is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a Spaceballs joke. It's the same combination I have in my luggage. Anyway, so Luke Cage, and we're going to full spoilers this. So if you haven't seen the show and you care to, good place to bow out. So I bought Netflix just so I could watch Luke Cage.
You bought Netflix? Man,
I bought
how much
all
did
of
that
Netflix.
run? How much did that run you there?
I had to take out a loan. But I figure
it's a small price to pay to get Luke Cage. Huh?
I have no idea how the hell to run a company. I will probably lose everything on it, but I figure I can just write it off as write the losses off my taxes and not pay federal income tax for the next 2 decades. Timely joke. Okay, so I ordered a month of Netflix just so I could watch Luke Cage, and I was going to watch Luke Cage, but I saw that the new My Little Pony movie was available, so I watched that instead, and it was good. Then I watched Luke Cage over several days, and I'll say this. As we mentioned last week, Zachary and I seem to be in agreement that the previous Marvel shows all have a point where it dips, where it slows down, because they're like a couple episodes too long. Yeah. In season 1 of Daredevil, it was like near the end, it just started slowing down. And you're like, okay, come on, let's get to it. In Jessica Jones, it was in the middle somewhere. In Daredevil season 2, it was towards the front where Elektra came in. And we had lost almost all our viewers, so I guess a bunch of people aren't done watching Luke Cage yet. Luke Cage, in my opinion, doesn't actually have that problem. It doesn't have a section of the show that really slows down. I just feel that the show is slow all the way through it. Not painfully slow, not boring, but it also, to me, feels like a show that didn't really need to be 13 episodes long. There wasn't a section of the show that felt slow to me. It was the entire thing to me. And again, I don't know why they are so gung-ho that it has to be exactly 13 episodes and each episode has to be exactly 52 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like you can have an episode that's 37 minutes long. It's okay. We're not paying per episode.
I think the thing with Luke Cage, though, the reason it's so slow is because of his power set. Mm-hmm. He has the power that he could have just waltzed right into Cottonmouth's club and just smashed Cottonmouth's head in and walked on out, and that would have solved the first half of the series arc.
And look at all the guns and drugs laying around, and just physically drag them over to the police.
Yeah,
there you go, boys.
Yeah, and really, he does that in the first, like in the second or third episode, and I'm trying to remember my timeline correctly, where he just basically just walks into all of Cottonmouth's money houses and takes everybody out and calls the cops to come and collect everything, and so it's just like the whole show would have been the whole show could have been over long before then. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's an interesting show because a lot of the criticisms I have for the show regarding narrative structure and character are actually things I kind of like. I like the fact that Stokes, Cottonmouth, is just kind of a hoodlum nobody that nobody like the Kingpin's never heard of this guy. No one cares. He has really no ambition beyond just kind of, keeping his nightclub open. He doesn't want to rule the world. He doesn't have a grand evil scheme. He's just a hoodlum who's
yeah,
carved out his little section of Harlem, and as long as he's top dog in his little sandbox, he is perfectly fine. He doesn't seem to have really any ambition beyond that. He doesn't seem to really be causing any problems other than he sells guns to people who use guns for bad things.
hmm
Um, he's just mostly just minding his own damn business. And in fact, Luke Cage and him never even cross paths uh, until basically he has a gun. He's selling guns to somebody else,
yeah,
and the deal goes bad because two or three kids decide, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we shot everybody and just took the $1 million for ourselves? And so, of course, Cottonmouth says, all right, find these little dipsticks and get me my money back. Well, one of the little dipsticks happens to hang out in the barber shop where Luke Cage works,
hmm
which is, as they say on the show, Switzerland. It's neutral territory. You don't, it's like a church. You just don't cause violence there. Well, one of Cottonmouth's bad guys, minions, didn't get the memo and shoots the place up, and the kid dies. And I mean, it's not even Cottonmouth. He doesn't order the hit. He doesn't do it himself. And that's the thing that kind of brings Luke Cage into his path, which
yeah,
is kind of impersonal and weird. But in a way, it's different enough that I'm like, I kind of like that in a way. Um, But I did have a problem with Mariah. What's her face? Alfre Woodard's character, who I thought was the same character from Avengers 2,
yeah.
until
That
I
was
looked up the name and I realized that it was a completely different character.
yeah. There was a lot of talk about that. It's like they don't normally cast the same character or same actor to be two different roles in two different shows or movies,
Man,
and that happened here, and so there was some confusion, but
they
really
should have just made that
from
the same character. Imagine how much pathos you can wring out of that backstory. How much
well,
more
the thing
pathos you can
is her
wring out of that
character in
backstory.
Captain America: Civil War was a federal somebody. I forget. She had some. She was with the federal government in some
No,
capacity, whereas her character in Luke Cage was just a
yeah,
councilman and
local
on the
council. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I couldn't remember exactly
Yeah.
what her job was. She just dresses down Tony Stark in a hallway at some point.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she's a councilwoman who's basically let's make Harlem great again, but she's Cottonmouth's cousin, so she has all this dark influence on her, and the problem I had is they seem to want to be going a politician who has her heart in the right place, but she's trying to achieve worthwhile, laudable goals the complete wrong way, with
Yeah.
blood money and crime and things like that. But I wasn't totally. But the way it's presented in the show is she seems like a hypocrite. Um, because she talks the talk. You see a lot of
Yeah.
interviews and puff pieces where she's make Harlem great again, but you never really see, except for one thing where she's like hugging a bunch of kids. Hey, you're good kids. I like you, hand soap. Other than that, you never actually see her doing anything like that, and it feels like she's just a bad guy. She's completely a bad guy, just kind of putting on a front as a politician. And I thought it would be more interesting if she was trying to genuinely do good, but her family and her past and who she's related to just kind of points her down the wrong path, which may be what they were trying to do. I just don't think they pulled that off very well.
Well, I didn't see her as a somebody with, well, she had good intentions, I guess, if you want to get down to it, but she was. I think she was the stereotypical politician, where it's all backroom deals and whoever bribes me enough will get the contracts type of person.
Yeah.
And with her, family first, it was one of her things, and so that's why she was getting a lot of money from Cottonmouth and.
Right, but I just thought it would be more interesting if she was using that money to genuinely try and make Harlem a wonderful place for everyone that lives there. And I didn't really get the sense that that was actually what she was trying to do. It's what she says she's trying to do. And she keeps saying, I don't want the details. I'm only using this drug money, to do good things for Harlem and make sure it's an awesome place for the people that live here. I'm like, I don't get the sense that you're actually doing that. And I'm not totally sure if that's the point of your character or not.
Yeah, they really, I guess they really didn't flesh out that aspect of it. What they went with her arc was the fact that she came from crime, and she tried to get away from it, but her family just, she couldn't get away from it because of her family.
Yeah,
and then everything went to pot, and she ended up back in that scene.
Yeah, I just don't think narratively and character-wise the show is that successful in actually portraying that. I do like that arc, but I don't think it's totally successful in portraying that. Although I do like the performance, and I do like the characters. Shades, for example, I think is a cool character, but I don't know what his role is. He doesn't seem to need to be in the movie. I mean, he's the liaison between Cottonmouth and Diamondback.
Yeah.
But once Cottonmouth is out of the picture and Diamondback comes in, Shades just kind of like takes Alfre Woodard under his wing for no real established reason. I'm not totally sure why. And it kind of, I would have liked to see her do a bit more on her own. She just feels like Shades and everyone else is just kind of dragging her along.
Yeah. Well, for a good chunk of the show, Shades was manipulating Mariah Dillard in the way in her path.
Mariah Dillard. That's what it is.
Yeah, Mariah Dillard in her path, and eventually once Cottonmouth was out of the way, and once Diamondback was out of the way, he was basically the top dog along with Mariah. And I think that was probably his goal all along, was get someone in power that he could manipulate. Cottonmouth, Diamondback, he was basically a lackey for them, and well, not so much Cottonmouth, because he really didn't work for Cottonmouth, but once they were out of the way, he was the top dog, and so I think that was his goal all along, just based on that last scene of him with Mariah in the club.
No, I don't know if he's going to work for her very long, because she like walked up and bit him right in the face.
Well, she kissed him.
Are you sure? Because that looked like she just walked right up and went, got your lip between my teeth. And then she went and sat down, and I was like, what was that? Now, I'm no expert on smooching, but that is the weirdest damn kiss I have ever seen. She like just kind of nibbled his bottom lip there for a minute and just went on her merry way. I'm like, it's weird. Speaking of kissing, Claire Temple, I think she's hard up for a date, because she seems to date everyone in every show. It wasn't as bad as it was in Daredevil, where in episode 5 they just suddenly start smooching. She's like, oh man, I've been waiting forever for you to do that. I'm like, have you? You've known him for like 2 days. Really? Okay. And then the next episode she walks out and she says, I love you, but I can't deal with this. I'm like, You do? Really? Where did this come from? And it's kind of the same thing with Luke Cage and her, and it's like, oh, we're suddenly in love now. I'm like, you are? Really?
Yeah, I did not. I was not all at all
I
convinced
really
in that.
like the fact that Misty Knight and Cage hook up in the first episode, and that was it. Just a one
One
fling
night
thing.
stand.
I'm
Yeah,
like, that's actually kind of refreshing. There's no romantic, oh, will they, won't they kind of crap throughout the entire series. They just hooked up one night, and that was that.
yeah,
You don't see that very often in stories, so that was kind of
yeah.
nice to
And
see.
and the thing with the love interests in this show is that none of them really make sense from a comic book standpoint. Where you know Luke Cage and Jessica Jones get married in the comic books. They have a baby,
Yeah,
and so we know from comic book continuity that they're destined for each other, and we're likely to see them hook up in the Defenders movie or
sure.
series,
Sure.
and and of course they did hook up in the Jessica Jones series for a one night stand or so, but it was just I just don't see where Claire Temple fits in all this. Misty Knight, that character, has some sort of relationship with Danny Rand, Iron Fist. I don't know, I don't know too much about their relationship, but she's a character in of interest in the Iron Fist series. So we'll see how that goes
Yeah.
in March. Is that when Iron Fist comes out? I forget.
Probably, and I would imagine Defenders in the following
Yeah.
fall,
So
or they might do. I'm sure.
yeah, but I just was not interested at all in Luke Cage and Claire hooking up.
Yeah, it didn't feel natural to me. Now, granted,
No,
that may just be me being prudish or something, but I just wasn't feeling it.
yeah,
They're just suddenly lovey-dovey, and I'm like, what? Why? Where did no, I'm just nope, just not buying it. Uh,
yeah,
Misty Knight's interesting because, as we all know and love, she has well, we have Rose Caballero in the comments who's really loving the different icons you can use. Anyway, Misty Knight has a cyborg arm, has a robotic arm, kind of like the Winter Soldier. She doesn't in this show, but as
no,
soon as we saw that gun that could, with the explodey bullets, the bullets that drill inside and then explode,
yeah,
I was like, she's gonna catch one of those in the arm and it's gonna blow her damn arm off. That's gonna
yeah.
that did not happen.
That did not happen.
She
No,
does get shot in the right arm, and it hits an artery. I'm like, she's gonna lose her arm. Nope.
no.
Nope.
They go and stitch her up, and then she's off
And
and,
she's
off and
fine.
running around
Yep.
Harlem.
She has it in a cast for about half the next episode, and then she just takes it off, and she's fine. She's like, "Hi, my arm is fine." I'm like, why would you even do that if you're not going to have her lose her arm?
Yeah.
It's going to be really weird when she loses her arm at some point in the future. They're going to have to make a joke out of it, like she's constantly getting her right arm injured, and then it finally blows off via bullet or grenade or whatever, and she's going to be like, well, that was bound to happen eventually. I mean, I keep getting hit in this arm. So that was just weird to me. I think one of the most interesting things about the show is it feels like a show that really wants to be political in its messaging, but is a bit too timid to really commit to saying anything. You know, because it gives a lot of lip service to, hey, bulletproof black guy in a hoodie, this means something. And it says that, and it uses a lot of that iconography, and it comes up with a lot of way too familiar with real life situations, but it never really seems to come down and actually say something about it. You know, really difficult for me to articulate on the fly, but it was a feeling I got. It felt like a half measure. It felt like the show really wanted to have a statement and a point of view, but was too timid to actually make it, and ended up being just kind of muddled overall.
Yeah.
It seems to want to make statements about police interaction with the African American community, and
Yeah.
but it doesn't seem to really follow through. I mean, most of the violence perpetrated on black people in the show are the bad guys, right?
Yeah.
Um, and, and it's always it seems really careful to make sure it has. It seems to want to try and say things about issues with predominantly white police force and their interactions with black people, but a lot of times they'll put a lot of black people and other people of color on the police force, which seems to obscure the message, which it looks like they're trying to go for, while at
Yeah.
the same time being really diverse in its casting, which I totally appreciate. Uh, Both police captains were women, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So it just felt like it was getting a little muddled in some cases, and also Misty Knight's partner doesn't make any sense. I like the character. I think he's cool and fun to watch, but he turns out to be a bad guy, and I don't know why.
Oh, Scarf. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, why is he a bad guy though? Uh, why is he? I mean, he has this backstory where his son accidentally shot himself in the head, which is like okay, but that doesn't seem to motivate his bad guyness. He,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to the point. So he's on the take. He's getting money from Cottonmouth, and he even bilks Cottonmouth for more money, but he doesn't seem to spend it on anything. Even Misty Knight it has a line somewhere in the show. She's like, "I never noticed. I mean, he doesn't show up in new clothes, a new watch, new apartment. He's not ordering a ton of takeout food. He doesn't seem to be. He's on the take, but he isn't spending it. So I didn't really get the motivation of that character. And there's actually a lot of things that happen in this show where they'll do something stupid and another character will point out how stupid it is and the other character will go, yeah, you're right, and then everyone just kind of forgets it and does it anyway.
Yeah.
Like Misty points out, it's like, why would Luke Cage use a gun? He can throw people to the moon. And they're like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Go get Luke Cage. Why would Luke Cage punch just walk up and punch some cop to death and just scream, I'm Luke Cage! I'm Luke Cage! It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, you're right. That doesn't make any sense. Let's find Luke Cage. It's like, and there's a ton of stuff in the show that's like that, where people will point out kind of
Yeah.
how things don't make any sense, and then they do it anyway. So I'm being down on the show, but overall, I thought it was overall kind of slow, but overall, I really did enjoy it. Uh, I it's a show that I think narratively and thematically is a little muddled, but um, the characters are just so charming and charismatic that they're neat to hang out with, and the show
Yeah.
does have style, even though it's um, touching on cultural touchstones that I am not familiar with at all. For example, the picture of the guy in Cottonmouth's office with the crown on his head
Biggie. Yeah.
is apparently a gentleman named Biggie Smalls, which is the most awesome name I've ever heard, but I have no earthly clue who the hell that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
There is a lot of that culture. The black culture, especially in the music, and that they have going on, and and you see that not just the music, but referencing things like the painting of Biggie Smalls, and then certain guest stars. You see guest stars in there. They show up for a short appearance, like I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but in the
there's
gas station or the
a
convenience store where
Method
he
Man.
stops, Method Man, yeah,
I had
where he
to look that
stops.
up too because
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's obviously someone. And I looked it up. I'm like, oh, it's Method Man. I have no idea who that is. I'm assuming a rap artist because he raps, but I don't know who this is.
Yeah.
The main stronghold where all of Cottonmouth's weapons were and where Mariah lives,
Yeah.
I was hearing something like Christmas Attic. And I'm like, well, that's a Christmas Attica. I'm like, that's a weird name. And then I saw it written down. I'm like, oh, that's a dude's name. And I had to go look up, see who that dude was, because I've never heard the name before. So uh, the show is at least hitting me up on some things that I'd never heard of before and gives me a chance.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. I'm like, I've heard of them. Some of the other name drops, though, I are lost on me. So I guess I'm just not as
yeah, we need
culturally
to
endowed
brush
as I
up
thought.
on our Black History Month
Yeah.
curriculum. Yeah, but and hopefully that this show gets people to look these things up, because there are a lot of great things. The scene where Luke Cage is plotting or thinking about that attack on that one building, and then the guy the thug sneaks up behind him and holds a gun to the back of his head, and
Yeah.
and then Luke Cage goes on this rant about, you're holding a gun against my head right across the street from this building that's named after this really awesome black guy.
Yeah. And that's where I first saw it and went, wait, it is? I thought it was called Christmas something. I'm like, who is
Yeah.
that? I had to look it up. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I was hearing that wrong.
Yeah, it's just like, Luke Cage is like, you're basically spitting in the face of these great men and women who died so that you could be free, and it's, and that's a great message, and they get that in early on in the show, and I'm glad that was there, and yeah, I definitely want to look up look more into naming conventions that, play the people these places are named after, and I certainly want to listen to some more of the music. I thought the soundtrack was great.
Most of it I was really digging, especially
Yeah.
a lot of the live stuff. It gets a
In the club, yeah.
I'll admit it gets a little indulgent. Because a lot of the music is in the Harlem Paradise, I think.
Yeah, Harlem Paradise, I believe that's the club name.
And it's people on stage singing, and an audience reaction going, "This is the most awesome thing I've ever heard." And it's like a little indulgent, but it is pretty awesome anyway. So I put up with it, and I enjoyed it. I like music, so. Let's talk about Luke Cage himself a little bit. They changed enough about Luke Cage. Luke Cage is now from Georgia instead of actually a Harlem native. I think in the book he's from Harlem, so that's an odd change. He was also a criminal who was railroaded into prison, but now he's wrongly accused of something, and like a former Army Marines dude. And I mean, they're going way out of their way to make Luke Cage like the bestie good guy ever. And I'm like, you don't. That kind of cheapens the character. It changes it. Changes it in a way that makes him less interesting to me.
I don't know. My understanding was that he was always framed, and when he was locked in prison.
Well, yes, but he was a criminal or a thug, or not the bestest bestie who's ever bested.
Yeah,
if I'm remembering the story right. But I believe he was a Harlem native. But they added, wasn't he? God, is he a former cop or something? I can't remember now. But it's like it's a little weird. I'm also surprised that he also. I don't know. The character Luke Cage was kind of the dullest part of the show for me. Although the actor whose name I forget is charismatic as all heck, so he just makes stuff work. But I don't think the writing was as strong for him this time. He almost seemed to reset after. He seemed to regress a little bit after the end of Jessica Jones, and I guess maybe he did. That's the point. Like the
Yeah.
revelation of the woman he was seeing killed his wife, and that just kind of made him clam up and curl in his shell and move to Harlem, I guess. Um, but it doesn't really come across in the narrative if that's what they were going for. Um,
Yeah.
also, the explodey bullets. He gets hit once in the gut and once in the near the shoulder,
Yeah,
right?
right shoulder. Yeah.
When Claire, not Claire Danes, Claire Temple and Doctor Scooby,
Dr. Frankenstein. Yeah.
yeah, dunk him in acid to open up the wound so they can pull the shrapnel out. Is it just me, or does she only pull the shrapnel out of his stomach and leave the stuff in his shoulder?
Yeah, it only shows her pulling them out of one wound, and I think the assumption is that she pulled them out of both, but they only
Okay.
show the one.
Yeah.
Because
Because I left, I'm like, still stuff in his shoulder. Still stuff.
yeah,
You're gonna get no, not at okay.
yeah. Well, it's just one of those things. It's like it's the exact same procedure to get it out of the stomach as it is the shoulder. It's like why show both? That would just add 5 minutes that you don't really need.
They show
And
her pulling three things out of the stomach. It could have been two in the stomach and one in the shoulder. It could have been, okay, we're moving to shoulder now. Just a quick ADR line, something.
yeah,
Because I was left. It's a small nitpick, but I was
yeah.
left going. Are you going to leave everything in the shoulder? That seems weird. I really did like Cottonmouth's final costume at the end. I thought they did a really nice job of making.
Diamondback.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Diamondback's costume
Yeah.
looking like the character from the comic,
Yeah.
while still kind of making sense of why he's dressed. I thought they did a nice
Yeah,
job.
it still looked cheesy, but it was a
But
fun
in a good
cheesy,
way.
and yeah, and people have been talking on certain websites. They were talking about the costume. They're like that's classic Hammer tech. Justin Hammer tends to make things that look terrible, and they're functional, but they just don't look good. It's like that's no Iron Man suit, but hey, it'll take a punch, and,
Yeah.
and that's the whole idea.
Also, interesting that this show ended on just a complete lots of loose threads. Cage goes to jail. Claire's taking martial arts lessons. Uh, Misty still has her arm, and Cottonmouth or
Diamondback.
is now in the hands of the Dr. Frankenstein guy who was able to get the hard drive up and running that has all of his secret make people invincible data on it.
Yeah. See, Dr. Noah Bernstein is
Bernstein.
His name.
Okay.
Yeah. I had to look that one up because I could not remember his name at all.
Also, I'm not sure if I was supposed to be against Dr. Bernstein. The show doesn't really do anything to make me think that this is a bad guy. Like, you're experimenting on people. They're all volunteers. I'm trying to make people invincible and cure cancer and do all kinds of stuff. It's not like we dragged people and stuffed them into a tank. I mean, I suppose you can.
You could put forth the argument that performing medical experiments on prison inmates isn't technically using volunteers because these guys aren't there of their own free will. So they're anything that they do in there is against their will, and in so much that if they had the choice, they would be somewhere else.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of a different thing. You're in prison, you're not going anywhere, but if you want time off, hey, volunteer for experiments. You don't have to. Now, if they were being coerced or forced or tricked or something, sure. But the show doesn't really say anything like that. So I'm like,
well, from my understanding though, is that the Underground Fight Club combined with the group sessions were both parts of the process of selecting quote volunteers to go through these experiments, and neither are only the the group sessions were voluntary things. And he was manipulated into the underground fight
Well,
club,
yeah, that
and
sure.
and so you really can't take anything after that.
Sure, but I'm not really clear about how much say Dr. Bernstein had in the underground fight club. Um, I mean, the way it's framed in the fourth or fifth episode, somewhere around there, is he gets the tar beat out of him in the fight club. No, after the fight club, the two guys jump him. And it's like, you're going to die. And Reva drags him over and says, stuff him in the tank because otherwise he's going to die. And Luke is always really pissy about this. I'd be like, you saved my life and made me invincible. Kind of a win-win there. Maybe I'm just looking at it entirely wrong, but Luke is pissy about things that I don't really understand why he's pissy about them. But that may just be me.
Well, and he could be invincible, but like I was saying, it was done against his will, and so he feels like he didn't have a choice in this, and had he had a choice,
he would have died. He would have died.
He didn't have the choice, though. He was basically unconscious when they put him in the tank. When they were making that decision to put him in the tank, and
I think it's kind of reasonable to assume that someone would be like, "Hey, you're going to die. Would you like to die or go through an experimental procedure that might help you not die?" I think we can err on the side of most people would say, you know what, let's roll the dice on the iron lung. What's the worst that can happen? I die, going to anyway. So, family, if I'm ever unconscious and am about to die and there's some weird experimental procedure that might save my life, yeah, go ahead. Might not work, but it might, and I might end up with superpowers too. 13U Cube says Hurricane Matthew took my power, but the crew's got it back. Thought you guys would be done by now. Yeah, we should be because it's after 8, but glad you're okay if you're in the Hurricane Matthew area.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I enjoyed the show. I found it a show that I felt it was overall slow in the sense that I really could have stopped watching after any episode, where most of the other Marvel Netflix episodes, each one was like, ooh, I've got to keep going. Ooh, I've got to keep going. Luke Cage, with a couple exceptions, pretty much an episode would end and I was thinking, I could stop watching the show here and I'd be fine. But I still enjoyed the show well enough. I have my nitpicks. I think overall, it might be the weakest, but still worth a watch to me. I think Jessica Jones is overall the strongest.
Yeah, I think Jessica Jones is really great. Character-wise,
I think Daredevil season 2 has higher highs, but as an entire show, I think Jessica Jones is a better show.
Yeah, with Daredevil, I would say Foggy is probably the best character out of the entire series. Especially in season 2, where he just lays it out with Matt, and he says, "Dude, you're a jerk, and I hate you. You need to stop being a jerk." Yeah, and it's just like that's everybody needed to say that, and somebody finally did.
The weird thing about Daredevil is the least interesting and most unlikable character on the show, except Elektra, who's just absolutely horrible. But
yeah.
I like Foggy. Some people hate Foggy, and I'm not sure why. I like Foggy, and
Foggy is great. Yeah.
Karen, what's her name?
Yeah, golly,
is that the actor's name or is that the character's name? I forget what her name is.
I know who you're talking about. The
Karen Ann Woll, I think, is the woman who plays her, but I can't remember the character's name. The other person in the
Karen Page is the character, and right. Deborah Ann Woll.
Deborah Ann Woll. So I'm mixing the character name and the actor name. I love her. I love following her through first lawyerly stuff and then investigative journalism stuff. I loved the Punisher stuff, and I loved the Kingpin stuff, and I love the Punisher and Kingpin stuff. And then we're back
Yeah.
to Daredevil. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Elektra came in, and I was like, oh god, make it stop.
Yeah, I think they brought Elektra. I wasn't a big fan of the Elektra's arc either, and I think they
No.
brought her in more out of obligation to
Yeah.
comic continuity than anything else, because she really had no purpose whatsoever in the series, other
Yeah.
than to be another foil for Daredevil.
All
And
due respect to the actor who played Elektra, I think she did a wonderful job. I had no problem with her performance. I just didn't like the character at all.
yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, yeah, I would say that that my favorite is probably Jessica Jones at this point too. Daredevil season 2, Luke Cage, and then Daredevil season 1. Uh, but uh, but yeah,
Hmm.
that's probably the way I would rank them, and I'm really looking forward to Iron Fist
Oh, me too.
and Defenders.
Yeah, yeah.
The very little we've seen of Iron Fist makes it look like it's going to be good. Hopefully, Danny Rand gets cleaned up and he's not shaggy Bushbeard the entire series.
I'm sure he will be.
But
So, follow up with a couple comments from the Peanut Gallery here. Jordan says, I'd like to mention this. Andrew, are you sure you've never had a kid? I was at the movies today, and my usher was around 18 and looked way too much like you. Now, the weird thing about what you said there is you went to the theaters and you had an usher. Where do you live that has ushers in the movie theater? That's great. But I saw this comment a while ago, and I was thinking, uh, I'm too young to have an 18-year-old kid. And then I thought, wait, no,
you're 36.
no, I'm not. No, I'm really not. But no, yes, I am positive I have no children running around out there. Um, Netflix is becoming Oprah to Marvel. You get a show, you get a show. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like, I mean, when we have Moon Knight, the Netflix show, although that would be cool.
Is
America
Moon Knight
Chavez.
is Moon Knight Marvel?
Is
I'm
that
trying to
DC?
remember.
Uh,
I think it's actually. Let's see, Moon Knight. No, yeah, Moon Knight is Marvel. Okay.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, Daredevil, Jessica, the main defenders. I would really love to, although I don't know how they do it budget wise. Is I still want She-Hulk.
Yeah, She-Hulk is a show or a movie that people have been demanding ever since they started doing these things, and She-Hulk would be fun, and it just needs to be done. You know,
Yeah,
just
especially the
throw her
episode,
out there.
especially the episode where she's well, actually, she's a defense attorney
She's
too.
a defense attorney.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say that I guess you'd have to do a team up with Matt
with
Murdock.
Matt
And, you know,
Murdock. Yeah,
they couldn't be one defending and one pro. It couldn't be a English names, Andrew Phoenix Wright and Miles Edgeworth type of
I don't
action
know.
going on there.
They could be involved in a civil suit where
Oh,
they're
there you go.
representing
Sure.
two different people. You know, maybe it's a Matt Murdock versus Foggy Nelson type thing, but yeah, I could see it would be fun. I think She-Hulk would be a great addition to this, and it would be. I don't think she would fit into the Netflix style of show, because it's
It
more
feels like it would
serious
be
and grim dark. But
yeah.
she
It
would
feels like
be
it would be episodic to me.
yeah, and she would be a much more campy and fun type of show. So I guess maybe she would do better as a movie, but I don't know.
They could do maybe a mini series. The thing I'd wonder about is effects. I mean,
Yeah.
it's either you find an actor who can play She-Hulk, you know, a really big,
Yeah,
muscular
somebody.
woman who you can paint green, Because I don't think Netflix and Marvel are going to have the budget to actually do a
The
She-Hulk
CG, She-Hulk.
CG character for an entire show.
Yeah. Well,
But if you can find an actor with the physicality to do that, maybe use some forced perspective kind of stuff to make her appear a little bit bigger than the actor really is, you just need to hire a bodybuilder who can act. And there are a lot of people who build bodies. I'm sure some of them. Aisha Tyler. Aisha Tyler is quite tall, but she's not buff.
Yeah, she does not have the body type to pull off a She-Hulk. Uh, and I don't think any exercise regime would build enough muscle mass for her to pull it off.
Not unless they want. Not unless they wanted to do it like a year and a half later. It depends on how much time they had to bulk
Yeah.
her up. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I mean she's Aisha Tyler's definitely like Amazon size, although the Amazons are typically DC. Are there any Amazonian characters in Marvel? I'm trying to think. Can't think of.
Marvel has Hercules,
True.
but I don't know if
I
they
was
have anything else
I was
along
gonna
that
say,
lines.
Aisha Tyler could play Wonder Woman because she's a big woman, and I think if you gave her enough time, she could, bulk out the shoulders and arms and legs a bit to look a bit more. I mean, because she just has the height, but she'd need a bit more bulk on her to really. My idea of Wonder Woman, anyway, is the Amazonian woman.
Yeah.
And Gal Gadot, I haven't seen the Batman v Superman. She I don't know. She just seems too small, like small, reedy arms. She's supposed to be an Amazon. She should have broad shoulders, and Gal Gadot just doesn't have that body type. I'm sure her performance is great, but um, Ed Jordan says, once I hear of Crypto the Superdog Netflix series, I'm done. Seriously, just done. Well, that would be
Well,
DC, and DC doesn't
yeah.
seem to be doing the
Yeah,
Marvel or
DC.
Netflix shows. So.
Yeah, DC. I don't know what their deal is. They don't have any good television right now.
Although they could totally
Um,
do a Super Pets show because that actually was a book at one point. They had
yeah,
Crypto the Super Dog, and there's a couple more
Ace the
Super.
Bat Dog.
Yeah,
Uh,
they have a couple of them.
yeah, but yeah,
I don't think
DC
Ace
has
ran with
no
that
good
group, but
television right now.
I keep hearing the Flash and Supergirl are good, but
Oh, and see, and here I am not associating those with DC, and feeling bad now.
they're good, so I don't
Because they're
associate them with
good. Yeah, I
DC.
don't associate them with DC. But yeah, they those are good series, and because I'm thinking cartoons, and it's just
Oh,
Teen
yeah.
Titans Go, and they don't have anything else, and animated movie wise, they haven't really put forth a good animated movie in a while. Justice League Dark looks like it might be promising, but I'm not holding my breath because
Well, they're also rumored to be doing another Wonder Woman movie, and the first Wonder Woman animated movie was really good. So
yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
fingers crossed for that.
But yeah, I've already started watching Flash and Arrow. I've seen the first episodes of both of those. Supergirl doesn't start up until Monday, and Legends of Tomorrow doesn't start up until Thursday. But Flash and Arrow have both had their first episodes, and they're both really good so far. They've already dealt with Flashpoint, where the Flash went back in time and saved his mom. They went through that in the first episode. They said, "All right, Barry learned his lesson somewhat. Let's fix things." And of course, not
My
everything
life's
is.
Barry.
Yeah, of course, not everything is back to the way it was, and that's just one of the things that he's going to have to deal with this season. But most things are back to where they were. So,
Well, I've been watching Agents of Shield, although I've only seen the first two episodes because I'm a
yeah,
week
there's a
behind because I watch it on ABC's site.
yeah.
But I have found that I have like this superpower where I can promote cast members and demote other ones if I wish hard enough, because Last season, I really liked Elena, I think her name is, the yo-yo character. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I like her. I hope we see more of her. And she was a recurring character through the show, and she's in season 4 too. And
Yeah, she's a good character, definitely.
and there was and it works the opposite too, because I didn't like Blandy McBlanderson, the electric guy.
Oh yeah, yeah, Lincoln. Yeah,
Lincoln, thank you. And he's dead now. I never
yeah.
liked Ward, and he's dead now. So, episode 1 started, and May of season 4, and May is like kicking recruits' butts on a mat and fighting and stuff, and she gets called away. So she has like a second in command person. She's like, Piper, take control. And Piper's like, okay, people, what, you've never seen the most awesome plane in the world before? Get on the mat and get started. I'm like, I like her. And it was like one line, and I was immediately like, I like this character. I hope we see more of her. And second episode, we've seen a little bit more of her. She has a name. She actually has lines. So nice.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty happy with that. Season 2 is taking its time. Interestingly, it might be a budget thing, but it seems to be very casually paced. I don't know if they're spinning their wheels waiting for something to do with Doctor Strange, or if they're just
I don't
pacing
know.
themselves. I'm not
They,
sure.
they may just be pacing themselves because they do have a lot of stuff going on right now with Ghost Rider, and then
Mhm.
they've got
The new
those
director.
ghosts. Yeah, the new director, and have you seen the ghosts that yet?
Yeah, they're in the second episode.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember because I'm trying to think if I've seen 2 or 3 episodes
And we
now,
have what
but
looks like the start of life model
yeah,
decoys.
life model decoys. So they've got all of these little things going on at once, and
Mhm.
I certainly don't want to see them just breeze through any of it because it could. There's a lot of a lot of good stuff in there, and I'm having fun with the Ghost Rider character. He's not your traditional Johnny Cage,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
Ghost Rider, but or Johnny
I
Blaze or whoever it is, but
yeah,
yeah,
it's Robbie Reyes or
Robbie
something.
Reyes, yeah.
I'm not really familiar with that incarnation of Ghost Rider. I just
He
think it's
is
kind
yeah, his character is he's not the spirit of vengeance, Mephisto's spirit of vengeance.
of okay.
He's possessed by some serial killer, and
Oh,
who somehow has the ability to mimic Ghost Rider's powers. So it's a very interesting thing. But
so i so he exercises the urge of a serial killer, but does Robbie himself like just point it in the right direction at people who deserve it, or
uh, based on what I've read about this character, is that the Robbie and this serial killer spirit have basically come to a compromise
hmm,
that the spirit can kill people as long as they're
they
bad
deserve it?
guys,
Okay,
as long as they
hmm,
deserve it. So
interesting.
yeah,
I wonder if they'll be going with that idea with the show, because he does have some line that says, "Oh, you've got the devil in you too."
yeah.
Really the only problem I have with the characters is he's called Ghost Rider, and it should be Ghost Driver. I mean, I guess you can ride in a car, but it's just kind of weird for Ghost Rider to be driving a car.
Yeah.
It's a small little thing, but Laxter's in our chat saying, "Wow, you guys started late this week." Nope, we started right on time. We've just been talking for a while.
Yeah.
Also, just for anyone who's not aware, Molehill Mountain podcast starts at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now that's our official start time now. Also, Laxter, thanks for pointing me in the direction of Restream.io. I've been using it for the charity streams, and it's been working great. So thank you. And with that, it is 8:45 my
Yeah, we
time,
should
so
probably
we
get
should
going.
we should hang up. So Andrew Eisen here, Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it into YouTube. You can find all kinds of cool stuff like my 30 Days of Comics series, which we're in the middle of. Um, at Andrew Eisen is my Twitter handle, and Facebook page is Andrew Eisen YouTube. Every weekend, Saturday at 2 p.m., I'm doing a stream to, I guess, practice for the the Extra Life 24-hour charity marathon on Saturday, November 5th, raising money for the Rady Children's Hospital here in San Diego, which is the Children's Miracle Network Hospital here. If you would like to watch the streams, just keep an eye on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Andrew Eisen, or my YouTube channel. I stream to both of them. And if you'd like to make a pledge, you can do so at Extra Life's website, extralife.org. There's a hyphen between extra and life, so extra-life.org. Just search for my name and hit the big blue donate button. Donations are tax deductible, and every penny goes to helping hospitalized kids. So thanks for your support. Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night. You can follow my game development work at DK_gaming, and that's divineknightgaming.com. And you can check out the Oklahoma game development scene. It's okgamedev.com and okgamedevs on Twitter. Lots of cool stuff going on in the state these days. I'm trying to write some more articles there. I managed to get one done this week of a preview of a game that some guys who go by the studio Rocket Dad. They're making a game called Minima, and it's a puzzle, fantasy puzzle game, and it's a lot of fun. I had fun with the preview demo they had released. So definitely worth a check if you guys want to try it out. So, but there you go. So.
Could we do a topic on unconventional superheroes like Underdog, Mighty Mouse, Powdered Toast Man? Oh wow, Ren and Stimpy, yeah. Crimson Chin, etc. Not tonight because we're hanging it up now, but they actually you said something about an Underdog movie. They actually did a live action Underdog movie within the last
it was
couple
terrible.
of years. I hear it's terrible.
I still haven't seen it, so
which is a shame because Underdog is awesome and he has an awesome theme song. When criminals in this world appear and break the laws that they should fear and frighten those who see and hear, the call goes out both far and near for Underdog. Underdog. It's so great. What wonderful. I'm amazed that I remember the lyrics as well as I do. Anyway, that is our show for this week. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you again next week. Take care.
All right. See ya.